Welcome to my channel, History of Whisper. Today, I'm about to share a story so powerful, so emotional that it will stay with you long after you've heard it. It's not just about strength, it's about dignity, courage, and temperament. When one soldier's silent resolves hook an entire military base to its core. It began on a dusty training ground somewhere overseas, where the heat baked the dirt roads and soldiers moved with the discipline of clockwork. This base wasn't known for kindness. It was known for toughness. For many, it was a place where you were broken down and built back up again. But for her, it was different. She had already endured battles in silence, battles no one on that base could see. She carried scars no one dared ask about. And when she arrived, her quiet presence unsettled even the most hardened officers. She wasn't loud. She didn't boast. She didn't try to prove herself. She simply trained harder than anyone else, waking before dawn, running miles through the desert sand, and sparring with precision that made even the senior sergeants pause. And yet not everyone respected her. Colonel Harkins was a man whose reputation came before him. To his men, he was iron-disciplined, a figure who demanded obedience. But behind closed doors, he was something else, quick-tempered, proud, a man who felt threatened by silence, especially hers. It happened one sweltering afternoon during drills. The soldiers were lined up in formation, sweat dripping from their brows, their boots sinking slightly into the hot earth. The colonel walked the rows, barking orders, his voice like a whip cracking against the air. When he reached her, he stopped. "Why don't you ever answer, soldier?" Hub barked. She kept her eyes forward, her jaw tight, not from disrespect, but from control. She had learned that silence could be power. But Harkins didn't see it that way. In a sudden flash of anger, he stepped forward, his hand shooting out, and before anyone could process it, he grabbed her by the hair. The force pulled her head back, and a ripple of shock passed through the entire formation. No one dared move. No one dared breathe. For a moment, the world seemed frozen under the weight of that act. But then something happened that Noon expected. Her eyes, calm and steady, locked onto his. There was no fear, not trembling, just an unshakable strength. Slowly, with a control that made the colonel's hand look weak, she raised her own hand, pried his fingers from her hair one by one, and let them fall. The silence was deafening. Soldiers stared wide-eyed, their hearts pounding, waiting for the explosion of rage that always followed anyone who defied him. But she didn't speak a word. Instead, she adjusted her uniform, straightened her stance, and looked forward again as if nothing had happened. That silence spoke louder than any scream could. The colonel staggered back, his face flushing red, his chest heaving with the humiliation of being undone not by violence, not by argument, but by quiet defiance. His grip had been broken like it was nothing. His authority had been challenged without a single word, and the base shifted. From that day, whispers spread through the barracks. Men and women who had once dismissed her began to see her differently. She wasn't just another soldier. She was a force. The respect she earned didn't come from her rank or from her words, but from that moment when she stood taller than the man who tried to drag her down. Weeks passed, but the incident was never forgotten. During night watches, soldiers told the story in hushed tones, almost reverent. Some said it was the day the colonel lost his fearsome edge. Others said it was the day they realized there was something unbreakable about her. But for her, it wasn't about glory. She had no interest in humiliating him. Her response had been born of something deeper. A promise she made long ago to never let anyone take her dignity again. The colonel, for all his bluster, never touched her after that day. He avoided her gaze during inspections, his voice faltering whenever he passed her in drills. He knew, as did everyone else, that he had been exposed. The power he thought he held wasn't real, not in the face of someone whose spirit couldn't be bent. Months later, during a dangerous mission, the truth of that moment became even clearer. Their unit was ambushed in the dead of night. Gunfire ripped through the air, chaos swallowed the desert, and fear threatened to tear the soldiers apart. But she stood steady, calm under fire. She moved through the smoke, pulling injured comrades to safety, her hands steady on the trigger, her voice commanding without needing to shout. Even the colonel, shaken and disoriented, found himself following her lead. In that firestorm, it became clear she was not just another soldier in the ranks. She was their anchor. When the battle ended and the dust settled, the base knew something had changed forever. The colonel might still wear the rank on his collar, but the real respect, the real authority lay with her. And all of it had started that day when he grabbed Herbie the hare and she answered with silence. It was not revenge. It was not rebellion. It was resilience, the kind that leaves an entire base stunned and forever changed. Because sometimes the loudest response is no response at all. If you felt something stir inside you while listening to this story, if you felt the weight of her courage, her silence, her strength, then I invite you to be part of this journey with me. Stories like this deserve to be heard, remembered, and shared. So don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to History of Whisper. Together, we'll continue to uncover the hidden moments of courage that shaped soldiers, bases, and even entire generations.